Thank you for joining me here this evening. I'm here to provide a brief statement and answer whatever questions I can in regard to an officer-involved shooting that occurred this afternoon. Following standard procedure in an officer-involved shooting, the investigation is now being conducted by the Alberta Serious Incident Response Team, also known as ASIRT. To respect the integrity of the ongoing investigation, I will share with you the events leading up to the shooting. I will leave it to the discretion of ASIRT to speak to the investigation surrounding the shooting itself. At approximately 11 a.m. today, Saturday, March 21st, 2015, officers were on scene at a rally occurring in the downtown core when they observed a man approaching the rally, causing a disturbance. The man began to walk away from the event and was approached by officers, at which time he fled on foot. When patrol officers were able to catch up with him on Center Street and 8th Avenue Southwest, an officer approached him and a physical struggle ensued. The situation escalated rapidly when the suspect produced a metal pipe. Within a few seconds, a service firearm was discharged, as well as a code 200 officer in trouble call was voiced over the air. The man was taken to hospital where he remains in critical condition. One officer sustained injuries and was treated on scene. Although I am limited as to what I can say, I will answer any questions that I can.
The metal pipe, did he have that on him, or is that something he picked up at the scene?
Those specific details would be best answered by ASIRT. Those will form part of the investigation.
What was the subject of the rally that he was causing a disturbance at? I just wanted to double check with police.
It was anti-racism rally.
And do you know what he yelled or what he was doing to cause the disturbance, Chief?
Again, that would form part of the investigation. I can't comment on that.
What can you tell us about the officers involved in that struggle? How much time did they have with the service?
The one officer has 7 years of service with us.
So, anywhere else?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
And he's currently, he was treated on scene, the officer who was injured?
That's the information I have, yes.
How many officers approached and then followed the man away from the rally?
Again, those specific details I don't have. As you can imagine, with the rally down Olympic Plaza, we had dedicated officers to support the event, but then we also have general patrol members that are also in the area.
Can you expand on the man who was shot, on his condition?
All I have right now is he's in critical condition at the hospital.
Can you say if he's known to police?
He is known to police.
Can you elaborate on that? What kinds of?
I can't. At this point in time, it wouldn't be responsible for me to say that.
Can you say anything more about the code 200, why that was enacted?
Code 200 is a major code that we use, and it's probably one of the most significant codes that an officer would call out over the radio. And essentially, there's no higher priority call. It's an officer that is in immediate distress and needs assistance.
Can you say anything more about that officer's injuries? How's he doing?
I can't.
Is it a he or a she? Can you say that?
It's a male officer.
Can you give us a little bit of a not a timeline, but at least the amount of time it took between their first interaction with the man that was assumedly at City Hall and the time it took for them for the shot to be fired? You know, how much time had passed between those two incidents?
Specifically, I don't. And again, those types of details will come out in the investigation. But I would suggest, based upon the proximity of two, I would suggest it was a fairly short period of time.
So there were other officers, though, who witnessed this happen?
That specific detail I don't have. I believe there was other officers in the area. What officers saw would be speculation on my part, and I won't speculate.
What can you say about charges that might be pending against the man who was shot?
Again, that will form part of the investigation, and I don't have that information at this
Sorry
time.
if I already asked you that.
That's okay.
Can you tell us about the event that was happening at City Hall, how many people were there, and maybe why police were present to begin with?
I believe it was the 8th annual rally, and as you probably all are aware, we have experienced some violence at that rally in the past. So our major events emergency management section had a very detailed plan to balance off police response with freedom of expression. I believe there was about 11 individuals at that rally today.
Okay, any other questions for the chief?
Thank you.
Chief Cook, maybe, you know, this is the second officer-involved shooting that the Calgary Police Service is dealing with. The first, Mr. Heffernan, now this unnamed male. Maybe you could talk to us a little bit about what that means for the Calgary Police Service in regards to its reputation and its perception of the public?
I think what I would say is that we have to respect that these are two totally separate and unique events, and with the independence of ASIRT to do a complete and thorough investigation. But for me to say that I'm not concerned about our officer safety and public safety, I've said before, those are the two key priorities as the Chief of Police. So it always concerns me when there's violence.
And maybe just, you know, for people who question why and the circumstances of an officer who discharges a firearm, you know, just in terms of how quickly things can escalate and how quickly an officer would have to make a decision, can you just sort of go over that a little bit?
I just think if even this week we look around this country, and men and women who are in law enforcement have a very difficult and challenging task that at times can be violent. They have to rely on their training, they have to rely on split-second decisions to preserve their life or to preserve the life of others.
Come under a bit of public criticism for the last officer-involved shooting. The family had said they weren't notified, and you came out and spoke to the media and the public before the family was notified. Has the family in this case been notified?
It is my understanding that they are, but again, that would be part of ASIRT's responsibility. And I can tell you with the other one, I do have regret on that. We probably should have notified that family earlier.